day 2 of our week-long Man Up podcast series on what it means to be a man and the role of the man. This week we are launching our Man Up podcast series. This week we are doing it all week, and then, God willing, we hope to incorporate it at a certain point, whether it's once a week, we'll see going forward. But this week we just wanted to come on with a week-long special. So on today, we are looking at the topic of Man Day, what it means to be male. In the next few minutes, I'll let you listen to a few seconds of a clip on one person's perspective, even though they say it's purported to be factual, not opinion, not hearsay, but real scientific proof of what it means to be a man. I'll just let you listen to a few seconds of the audio, and I'll provide the link in the description so you can see the full definition of what it means to be a man. And also you can do your own research, just type in what it means to be a man and hear what these men say. But I just wanted you to hear one point in the audio, and then after that we'll come back and give the commentary on it. So without further ado, here is the commentary. And the guy's name is Chad Hugh, and he gives you 4 points, 4 categories, 4 reasons for manhood. Here he is.
What it means to be a man, where we've gone wrong as a society, and the 4 attributes you need to call yourself a man. And I think these are actually very important. It's not just motivation talk or opinion. If you look at what a man is, these 4 characteristics really encompass who he is. So becoming a man is something we've always needed to be taught. We haven't just manhood is something that is learned and won. Women are born women. They're born with that nurturing spirit and soul, and men need to learn the usefulness that men need to have to call themselves men.
So the real reason that I didn't play the whole video is because he goes into certain things that I don't want to be put on the table here, at least in this forum for this week. At your leisure, you can go back and investigate those things that he brings to the table. But I definitely, categorically do want to say that what he said is fact. Women literally are born as nurturers. I mean, if they could, from the womb, they would be having people suck on their breast rather than them sucking on breast. That's how innate that nurturing is. In fact, let me put it to you in language that could easily show that point. Even though he is speaking metaphorically in terms of manhood, the Apostle Paul in the book of 1 Corinthians 13 writes, and we all have heard this term, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I taught as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. So like I said, this was metaphorical. You have to understand it in line and context of the scriptures that went before it. So he wasn't speaking biologically. But the adaptation is true, beloved. If boys are not trained on how to become men, scientifically proven, beloved, naturally proven, historically proven, they will remain boys for the rest of their lives. And their women companions could testify to this. So in that one respect, I categorically agree with Mr. Chad Hughes that men are not born, they are learned. They're earned, in fact. But he goes on to say that men need to be protectors and providers, that men need to carry guns to defend their families, that men need to be the ones who are the earners in their family, that being successful financially is what qualifies you to be a man. Granted that you will hear this language repeated in other circles, go ahead, just look it up. But today, I just want to leave you with a few important thoughts. H-E-L-P. And the first letter H is that he's a helper. That's what he does. Wherever there's something to be done, he finds himself helping. And again, the Bible will give the principle. Whatsoever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. E, he's an encourager. He does not tear down, he lifts up. He's the one who's always encouraging the sons and the daughters to excel, to be motivated. He nurtures and encourages their growth and development. He encourages his spouse. He encourages his community, his society. He's the one who is naturally the coach that cheers on his team onto victory. He's an encourager. So he's a helper, he's an encourager, he's a leader. And understand this, when you say leader, you put it in the mindset of some tyrannical society. But no, he leads by example. He leads in such a way that he can delegate and watch others take responsibility for his ideas, his plans, his programs. He leads by, again, doing the things that came before, helping and encouraging. He leads by being able to show that he does not have an ear about him. He can condescend to ideas from the person who cleans the office building to the one who carries the mail to the higher level employees. And finally, he is the priest of his home. Every home on this planet ought to be led by one who not only is, as we started in the beginning, the helper, the encourager, the leader, but also needs to have a moral background, and the man of the house ought to be the one who brings it. Society is destroyed because society has been damaged morally. We bring a lot to the table in society, finance, academics, but when it comes to morals, beloved, sadly, we are lacking in that arena, and that's because men have not been allowed to be the ones who are the priests of their homes. The role has been usurped, sadly, by women, because in so many cases, men have allowed that authority to be usurped. They have relinquished the role of leadership of the home, the helper of the home, the encourager of the home. And sadly, society has denigrated because men do not know what it means to be man. So there you have it, those four things: helper, encourager, leader, and priest. The fabric of society hinges on what he brings to the table in terms of moral values. Now, let me address a few things that you will hear as the duty of man. Number one, he is a provider, and that precludes what his woman can bring to the table. He says that he's the head of the home and that he's the one who's supposed to bring in the income, and she's supposed to stay home and take care of the children. I am assuming that that person has never read Proverbs 31. Well, because we have a little bit of time today, we'll do just that. You see, in order to move ahead, we have to get rid of the things that we've held onto in the past. Notice from verse 10, Proverbs 31, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband that safely trusts in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Watch this. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises also while it is yet night and gives meat to her household and a portion to the maidens. She considereth the fields, watch it, and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She laid her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hands to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sitteth amongst the elders of the land. She makes fine linen, and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children also rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. So there you have it, folks. Proverbs 31. That is what a Proverbs 31 woman looks like ultimately. So no, he is not categorically the provider. They work as a team in that arena, in that respect. So ultimately, we need to look elsewhere, because if you usurp the role of the provider, then you're getting yourself in trouble. So that being said, man, there is only one provider, and that is God. That's why he is called Jehovah or Yahweh, Jehovah Jireh, the provider. Friend of mine, whenever we seek to usurp any of the attributes of God, we get ourselves in trouble. So God is the provider, and we benefit at his hands. We are the beneficiaries of his provisions. Don't get it twisted. Number two, man is labeled, the other P word, the protector. Man is not the protector. So if you would listen to Mr. Hughes' statements of what it means to be a man, he is supposed to carry a gun to protect his family from, quote unquote, the losers out there. But is that so? See, friends, this is one thing that we learn from young. And the younger they seem to be, those boys who are carrying guns, making it a status symbol of manhood. Just because you are able to wield a piece of steel, that does not make you a man. In fact, we need to learn from early on that not only is God our provider, but he is our protector. And again, we are the beneficiaries of this. He does not call us to defend self. In fact, if we are submitted to him, we have no self to speak of. And that categorically is what it means to be a man, realizing that our identity is tied up with him who we call Father. You see, brothers, we have been sold a bill of goods, and a lot of it hinges on the fact that we've been gullible over the years, and we've bought into so many lies that have claimed so many lives. Let me repeat that again. We have bought into so many lies that have claimed so many lives. It is incumbent upon us to realize again, he is a helper, an encourager, a leader, and priest of his home. He's not the provider for that family. He's not the protector of that family. Ultimately, those responsibilities lie with him who in Psalms 121 we're told does not sleep, does not slumber. The man sleeps, the man slumbers. Ultimately, he's going to need someone to provide and protect who is incapable of doing either. As we close out our time today and get ready for the next day's presentation, I just want to ask you one thing. Where did you get your definition of a man from? Where did you learn how to be a man? Or I should ask, have you learned how to be a man? And are you right now wrapped up still in boyhood? Are you still speaking like a child? Are you still understanding like a child? I pray not. You've been listening to Man Up, a podcast provided to you by Reunion Media Group. Tomorrow we'll look at the identity crisis facing men in our society. Until then, this has been your host, Vernon, the Word Master, wishing you a marvelous Man Day. God bless.